The Cigar Nerds Podcast.
And welcome to the Cigar Nerds Podcast. I'm your host, Smokin' Joe, and we got a special guest this week.
I have returned. Wait, I think, I don't know. So it's me, the infamous Brad Jackson, coming to you on the Cigar Nerd Podcast.
Oh yeah, he's in the country. He's not like called in sick or yeah.
There's still time. My stomach is doing I hate you today. So there's that.
I mean, there is like, you know, a second episode in December, so you may be gone next week, but you're here this week, and
That's what counts.
and that's all that matters.
I am in the now.
And it is December. Also, we're recording this on December 11th, which is Magnum PI Day. This is when Magnum PI premiered, December 11th, 1980.
Huh.
It just popped up on somebody's Instagram today. I was like, huh, Magnum PI Day.
Little did I know.
But we're talking about another manly thing this week. What are we smoking this week, Brad? I haven't had a chance to ask that in a while. Usually I'm the one having to say that lately because the other person don't know.
So this week we have the All Maduro Blackened Cigar, dubbed M81 by Drew Estate,
And
in collaboration with James Hetfield of Metallica.
yeah, and their blackened whiskey, which I've not tried the blackened whiskey yet. It's kind of like there's several like the rabbit hole is like there's several like cigars I've smoked that are whiskey kind of inspired that I'm like I should try their whiskey and see how it goes. But yeah, this motherfucker is like we like Maduro here, but this thing is all fucking Maduro. That's why it's called blackened. I mean, well, that's what their whiskey's called. But yeah, Mexican San Andreas wrapper. Binder is Connecticut River Valley Broadleaf Maduro. Filler is Nicaraguan Maduro and Pennsylvania Broadleaf Maduro. It should have a dark, bold, and unapologetic espresso, leather, and dark chocolate flavors.
Brutal. Give me fuel, give me fire, give me
I gotta say,
cigar desire.
This is only the second one I've smoked. The first one I smoked, which was the because they only come in like kind of small ring gauges, was the Churchill version, and I almost like threw up the first time. Not anything bad about the cigar, but literally I hadn't smoked in like 4 months because of my surgery, and it was like my first day back of smoking, and I went straight to the Diablo, and then this just got into the shop. I'm like, ooh, I've been wanting to try that. So I bought one of those and tried to do 2 cigars in one day on my first day back. So I'm at the house watching a movie. I get about halfway through and I'm like, ooh, my stomach don't feeling good. I had to get up and like get some fresh air, breathe a little bit because I thought I was going to puke. And then I sat back down.
Is that what I'm feeling then? Since, I haven't smoked a cigar in a couple of months.
Yeah, you may have like overdid it on your first one back. You might have to hit the pause button and go get some air. But yeah, I literally like went out for like 5 minutes, came back, sat back down, lit it up, and my wife was like, didn't you just nearly puke? I'm like, yeah, but I'm not a fucking quitter. I'm gonna finish this bitch.
I'm a quitter. Well, I mean, technically I finished my first cigar of the day. The second one is proving to be eluding, just cause
it's okay, you're a bitch.
It's fine. I'm perfectly fine being a little bitch.
It's like working out. You don't work out for a while. You got to start at lower weights than you started with last time.
That's it. I'm going to, I guess, start my cigar journey all over again. So I'm gonna go with a nice wine tip, black and mild.
You got to go back to some Connecticut's. Break out the super mild Fuentes or something.
I can't recall, like, I think I had a Perdomo, Connecticut or something that I tried to smoke. And even in my cigar infancy, I was not one to really enjoy that light, airy, like...
It's too much like smoking a cigarette to me.
Yeah.
It's like, I guess because I jumped straight in with the darker cigars because I don't do anything like light and work my way up. I'm like, nah, fuck that. I'm gonna jump right in. But like, yeah, now trying Connecticut cigars or milder cigars, I'm just like, this has no flavor to me. And they say this medium to full bodied. I gotta say for my last one, the more you smoke of it, the more kind of full bodied it gets. But it does start off like a nice medium. It works your way into. It's like listening to Metallica. Some of those songs, they start off with like a nice like kind of melody, and then They don't just like kick you right in the teeth. They start you off slow, and then the fucking bass drops, and you're
And you have a seizure.
yeah, brutal. But it is December, so we're going to talk about Christmas movie this this week.
And before we go into all the details, I just want to start by saying how pleasantly surprised I was with that. Because just, we're going to be talking about Violent Night. And, to me, like, it actually was like a wholesome, like, storyline driven film. Like, I wasn't expecting that. I thought it would literally just be mindless, Santa Claus doing, tactical Santa shit, but it was so much more than that, and that was
we're gonna have
pleasant surprise.
We're gonna have a lot to talk about, and if you have to fight off terrorists on Christmas Eve, you should call in the Strike Force. StrikeForceEnergy.com, promo code Cigar Nerds for 20% off your order. Won't weigh down your sleigh with their tiny little tin pouches. Yeah, they even come in elf size. But with that, we will be right ho 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 back. Ho ho ho! It's Christmas time, bitches.
Whoa, you can't say that. That'll get you on the naughty list.
Probably already on the naughty list.
You can't say ass either. It's anus. So
yeah.
A technicality is you can get away with.
You gotta use medical terminology.
Yes.
Technically, that is correct. Yeah, so we're talking about Violent Night, starring David Harbour from a little show we like to talk about, Stranger Things. Directed by Tommy Wirkola. Wirkola, however you pronounce that. But yeah, like Brad was saying during the intro, I expected this to be like, we did like the Christmas horror movies episode. I expected this to be just like a B movie freaking just like, novelty type movie, but they managed to make a kind of heartfelt spirit of Christmas movie wrapped up in this violent action film. And like, this thing had way more substance to it than warranted or expected.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I just went, I don't know, maybe about several days ago, and I would say that the theater auditorium was probably about, half, maybe a little over halfway filled with people, but, like, generally, like, there was audible laughter erupting, or like with some of the gory effects, people like, kind of cringing. Like, it was kind of cool just seeing, how the entire auditorium was getting into the film.
Yeah, because I went to see it. It was opening weekend, but it was like a Sunday, and it was already in like one of the smaller theaters. So I'm like, I don't think anyone expected this movie to be big, but I think this is one that's going to like build a big cult following as more people like find out about it, because yeah, we were in a small theater, but it was still pretty.
See, we were in
pretty
one of
well
the larger auditoriums.
So yeah, they've probably moved that since, like I said, because opening weekend it was like, let's put it in the small theater, and that little theater was full, and now it's kind of moved up to one of the bigger ones.
I mean, this is definitely one like. I mean, Die Hard will always be a Christmas movie. This is another one that is going to have to make the yearly roster of,
Yeah, I mean, so far, budget of $20 million. It's made 29.2, so it's starting to make some money.
And I'm with you. I think as this gets onto streaming services and everything else, like, it's gonna gain a cult following.
Kind of like the one we talked about last year, the Fat Man with Mel Gibson. Like, that was cool, but I've seen it once. This, I'm like, I kind of want to go back and see it again. It's I think this one has more kind of rewatchability than even the Fat Man, and I liked Fat Man when it came out.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like, I'm wondering if I went into it with such low expectation that
it exceeded your.
yeah, I
you're
mean,
like, this is gonna be a dumb action movie, but then it's like, oh fuck,
I mean,
this is.
granted, I like a dumb action movie. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm not hating on action flicks by any means. It just like storyline, emotional substance, and there was just a lot more, to this film than just I'm a washed up drunk Santa, and now it's time for me to go and kick some ass.
And like you mentioned, Die Hard being a Christmas film earlier, this movie is, and that's like when people ask me like, what is Violent Night? I'm like, the short answer, it's Die Hard, but John McClane is Santa Claus with a little bit of Home Alone, like rap just stirred in to like, make shit weird or awesome. But yeah, it is
definitely awesome.
There is definitely, and we'll get into more specifically later, but there's definitely stuff in this movie that are straight up Die Hard. It's like, this is a Die Hard scene, like that they've just changed the setting and the characters. Like, this is like...
I mean, literally, I think at some point, Hans Gruber, fell off Nakatomi Tower during this film.
I mean, you've got the terrorists, other than their leader, Scrooge, played by John Leguizamo, are all German guys, nearly. So they kind of sound like Hans Gruber's people. You've got the little girl, Gertrude, who are Trudy. Her parents don't have time to take her to see Santa Claus, so they give her a freaking walkie-talkie they find downstairs and be like, oh, here's a direct line to Santa Claus. Well, when the shit breaks off, Santa Claus takes a walkie-talkie off a terrorist and ends up tuning into this girl's channel, and they're talking back and forth through the whole movie, kind of like Al and John and Die Hard. I mean, and even like the kind of the twist reveal of the bad guys at the end is like, that's fucking straight out of Die Hard too. It's like there's so many scenes that are like, so much so that like, it's like it's like a bunch of fans of Die Hard were like, we want to make our own Die Hard, and we want to make it like an even more Christmas movie, and like they exceeded at the excitement. If you tell somebody, hey man, make Die Hard but starring Santa Claus, they're like, fucking done. Here you go.
Yeah, and I really like the portrayal of the of Santa, like. And for some reason, I forgot all about, fucking David Harbour, like, playing Santa, but it all makes sense now.
Yeah, I mean, he is, like, with, like, when you first introduced to him, before we even get into, like, the action, he's at a bar, like, taking a pit stop on his, and talking to, like, another, like
Mall Santa.
Mall Santa. He's like, oh, hey, how long you been doing this? He's like, man, I started this shit. He's like, I've been doing it too fucking long. And he just goes drunk as shit. And he's like, going off on this rant. He's like, man, it's all about like commercialism now. You give a kid something. His next question is like, where's the next thing? It's all about greed anymore. It's not about like when I started doing this, it was about, making people feel good and but there's like no Christmas spirit anymore. Everyone is just, gimme, gimme, gimme. He's like, this may be my last Christmas. Like, fuck all this shit. And like, they're like, dude, you're like, so like, are you driving tonight? He's like, the reindeers do most of the work. I just steer a little. But yeah, his just like, I don't know, like when you first see him, he kind of reminds me of that just grumpiness of the fat man.
It kind of reminds me of like the bad Santa in a way.
Yeah. It's like, he talks about the world losing its Christmas spirit. Like fucking Santa Claus has like lost his Christmas spirit. He's just kind of a fucking drunk dude. And then when he goes to leave, it's like, because at this point you don't know he's like the Santa Claus. The bartender's like, hey, that door goes to the roof. You're going up, the fucker's gonna fall off the roof. Let me go stop him. And she chases him up the roof, and he's like gone. He's like already like in the sleigh. She's like, oh my god, it's like, and she's like looking up, and you can hear like the sleigh bells and shit. And she's like, oh my god, it's actually Santa Claus. And then he like, just pukes up the side of the sleigh and just like fucking like slimes this woman. It's like, yep.
That's what I feel like doing right now. I don't have a rooftop or random woman, so I'll just projectile your direction.
There's a plastic bag behind you.
Nah, that's no fun.
Well, maybe you're just craving another cigar. You're like, oh, I've got the taste again. I need another one. That's when my body's like rejecting this.
No, I think it's, I'm finally getting some decent, smoke in my lungs and stuff again. So all the sickness that I endured, the last few weeks, like, is being pushed, southward. It's like there were no quality cigars, so, the germs had a way in. Like, I still stand behind our theory. If we keep our lungs full of smoke, there's no room for COVID or germs.
Yeah, I was like, only got sick when I wasn't smoking. I hadn't had a cold since I got back on the cigars. But yeah, we spoke about Trudy earlier, played by Lee Bradley as Trudy Lightstone, and her estranged father had like her parents are divorced, separated, whatever, but he ends up they're having to go to grandma's annual Christmas party, and I guess he's talked the wife into joining him because he's got some kind of plan. And these are basically like rich politician family. Like the mother Gertrude Lightstone is played by Beverly D'Angelo, is a fucking bitch. She's basically like a corrupt.
I don't even think you could say corrupt. I think you just got to say typical politician.
Well, I don't even think she's like an actual politician. She's more of a corporate lobbyist or something, where she's like the people kind of working on the fringes of the government that we all expect secretly control the government because they're the rich assholes that are like passing money here and there. And apparently she's ripped off the government. She was given a bunch of money to supposedly send over secretly to the Middle East, and it got lost. And now she has like 300 million in her basement bunker safe that some naughty boys are coming to steal on Christmas.
Those naughty boys.
And like pretty much like straight up a Die Hard. They're like, we're going to break in on Christmas. There's less people here. We can use the family as hostages. And most of their crew are pretending to be, because this is like a pretty secure house. They're all pretending to be caterers or servers and stuff, and all going by, Christmas themed aliases like, Scrooge and Gingerbread and Candy Cane and whatever that one little crazy dude was named.
I'm Mistletoe.
Yeah. I'm Partridge in a Pear Tree. All right, what would your Christmas code name be?
My Christmas code name, Holly.
You need a partner named Jolly. It's like, Holly and Jolly, get over here. I'd be Frosty. That sounds pretty cool.
Frosty would be good,
Or that's the guy that brings all the cocaine to the party. It's like Frosty the Snowman.
Yeah, I see what you did there. Snow. Got it. Air quotes.
So, yeah, terrorist
Be mistletoe.
take over Nakatomi house.
Yeah, we traded a tower for a compound.
Yeah. And, speaking of the Die Hard references, did you notice the name of, like, the gate security guy?
Al?
Yeah. But Al doesn't, he gets welcomed to the party quite early. he gets like the first one.
Yeah, I was kind of sad to see that one.
Yeah. We didn't get an Al Santa moment.
Poor Al. R.I.P. Al.
Poor little nog out for your homie.
Are you a fan of eggnog?
I'll drink it, but it's one of those like you almost feel like you need to drink it because it's Christmas. It's like I'm not like in July going, dude, you know what I need? Some fucking nog. It's like drinking an alcoholic milkshake that's melted. It's no longer frozen. It kind of has that consistency of like melted ice cream, but it's like, and getting drunk off a nog is not a pleasant experience. It's just no. It's one of those you have one with a little bit of whiskey, and you're like, all right, cool. I've done the required Christmas thing, but yeah, it's not something I'm gonna like enjoy.
We need to do a required Christmas thing soon, because it's almost Christmas.
Rummus.
Yeah, we missed out on Rumsgiving, so
Yeah.
I had to not be a bad influence for you.
Oh yeah, it's like fucking going to a Christmas party last night. And I'm like, there's a lot of great food here, but I can only eat such a tiny amount. What's the one thing I want to eat? Because I can't eat like a little of everything. I can maybe eat a little of 3 things. That's all I've got.
That you just take little spoonfuls,
I don't know what I ate because it was some kind of Indian dish, but it was fucking good. So I think I chose wisely.
But what about all the awesome Indian dishes you missed out on?
Yeah, like I said,
that you'll never know, because my problem with going to an Indian restaurant or something, like, I just have to order like some sort of a sampler because I can never, remember what I like, or I'll try something and be like, oh, that was good, and then never will I remember to.
That's what we used to have like an Indian buffet right by my office. That was easy because I was like, all right, I can just like pick things off the bar here. I don't have to like read a menu and understand what this is.
A buffet would be real easy for you now.
It's not. It's like doesn't make it economical. I can't eat it. Like, no, this is a waste of money to go to a fucking buffet.
I mean, dude, it says all you can eat.
Yeah, I can eat a taco and a half. That's like my capacity right now. I just take 1 spoonful out of each bowl, and then there's my my food.
Enjoy your breadless burgers. Oh. Although I've found like that's gonna be a weird tangent to go down. Fucking hamburgers. Although there was, a couple of great scenes that, reminded me of hamburger meat in this film.
Yeah, I mean, this thing was fucking bloody at times. I was like, they did not shy away from it. Is a violent night. But yeah, they'll have those moments where like Santa's talking to the kid and reassuring her, and it's like, and kind of
finding his Christmas spirit again.
Yeah,
too.
It's like this has like so much fucking heart for a movie where a guy just got thrown into a fucking snow blower and or a wood chipper or whatever the fuck that thing was.
No, I think that's something for snow. I would put that on, a snow blower. I don't know. We don't get copious amounts of snow to, like, that's just not something you're gonna find in people's garages where we live, my friend. So I think that's a snow tool, though.
Oh, there was a Frosty in the crew. According to this, the names of the henchmen were Tinsel, Techie, I guess was the hacker, Frosty, Sugar Plum, Candy Cane, and Krampus Gingerbread. Krampus, that was the weird henchman that wanted to cut the dude's nuts off. And of course, Mr. Scrooge.
Yeah, this film really, I always had my suspicions on the Nutcracker, and this film really, really made me be like, no, I don't need one of those.
Yeah, that's like one of the things that is like, they're like, Gertrude is like a hard bitch, and they're like, give us the code to the vault, and she's like, I ain't telling y'all shit, and she's like, all right, get out the Nutcracker, and like grab her son, who's Trudy's dad, and is like, fucking smacks him in the balls, and they're like, that's not, that's a Nutcracker, you gotta get his nuts in there. He's like, dude, I'm not pulling his dick out, and he's like, and Krampus is like, I'll pull his dick out. And he's like, freaking tries like, damn, get him in the big Nutcracker. Because breaking his finger wasn't enough to get him to talk.
That makes my stomach hurt even worse, just thinking about that. If I don't see some flattened balls, like...
Oh.
what I want for Christmas is to not see flattened balls.
So be careful around your nutcrackers at homes, kids. Those are for walnuts, not for man nuts.
Oh, God. Reminds me of our tubing trip.
I hit my nuts on a rock.
We've had many, many misadventures. We need to have many more misadventures.
But yeah, we get introduced to, Santa shows up at the house, and it's like, wow, they got like the homemade cookies. This is the shit. But he's like, this fucking milk sucks. Hey, there's a bar.
Dude, who had the idea to be like, I get the cookies, right? Cookies, they can sit out on a plate. It's fine. A glass of milk just sitting for hours on end is not going to be an enjoyable experience. Like,
Santa go get some salmonella.
like, how did we land on that?
No idea. Oh, but he's like, fucking pours the milk out, pours himself a nice glass of whiskey, starts dipping his cookies in whiskey, and he's like, oh fuck, they got a massage chair. I'm gonna take a little break. Fucking starts getting a massage and like dozes off, and like misses like the terrorists taking over the house till you hear some gunshots, and by that time like terrorist finds him. He's like, oh fuck, oh holy shit, and has to fight the first terrorist and like put some rounds through the roof and scares the reindeer off, and they just fucking leave him. He's like, you motherfuckers. So now he's like stuck here like John McClane. And he can't even, he's like so low on Christmas spirit, or maybe it's because he's like full of, other Christmas spirits. He can't even like, zap himself up the chimney. He's like, low on power. Then just gets like, gets in like a brutal fight with that first guy. I mean, ends up like stabbing him in the eye with the star off the Christmas tree.
That almost gave me like Hostile vibes. Like,
oh no, or was it? I think it was the second guy. It was like that guy. He ends up like throwing out a window, and he like impales himself on a big icicle or something. But yeah, that other fight where he's like, still kind of getting his groove back, and like hits. They're like guys trying to strangle him with a cord of lights. And he ends up stabbing the dude in the face with the tree topper, and then plugging it in and like just fucking frying the guy. I was like, God damn, this is like some brutal shit.
Yeah, I don't know. Something about the eyes, man. Like that just, I almost feel the pain. Like
just like the fucking dude's head catching on fire and shit. I'm like, oh, that's some like Green Mile shit right there.
That's your brain on drugs.
Oh.
That's your brain on Christmas spirit, motherfucker.
But I like.
Now I'm on the naughty list.
I like our kind of first clue that Santa Claus may not just be a fat, jolly old man. Is like he gets a little cut in that fight. So he's talking to the girl on the walkie-talkie, and he's like taking his jacket off to like, and like patching it up with like Christmas paper and some like Christmas wrapping and shit, and like fixing his wound. But when he takes his shirt off, I mean, he's all dad botted up, but he's like covered in like fucking Norse tattoos and shit. I'm like, ooh, Santa's like seen some shit. He's all like tatted up and shit. This is like biker Santa Claus all of a sudden. And then he, starts talking to the kid and getting into his backstory. And he's like, wasn't always St. Nicholas. About 1600 years ago, I was known by another name, Nicola the Red. And apparently, like, Santa Claus was a badass fucking Viking warrior with a hammer he called like Skull Smasher or Skull Crusher. Yeah. And it's like, oh shit, Santa knew some shit back in the day. Before he gave up war to bring joy to all the boys and girls. And speaking of Die Hard references, I like when he's in one of those like first fights and he's going through his like bag of toys where he can pretty much just pull anything out, and he's like trying to find something he can use as a weapon, and he's like, video game, fucking Die Hard Blu-ray, god damn it. He's like, he doesn't even have to know. He just pulls the box. He knows exactly what it is. But he's like, Die Hard Blu-ray.
What happened to the days of, here, I need a baseball bat.
Yeah, he's like,
or a Red Ryder BB gun.
He said, none of these fucking kids ask for a baseball bat or something. I think he finally pulls out like a golf club at some, that he finds. But yeah, it's like that. I was like, Die Hard Blu-ray. I got you, Santa. That's pretty funny.
I wish I had a magical bag. So his bag is just basically a glorified TARDIS.
Pretty much. It's kind of like, remember when we watched the Santa Chronicles? Where it was like Santa's bag was just basically a portal to the toy factory. So like, he could just kind of reach in there and upload shit from the elves and stuff. So it was like, that's how it holds like all the Christmas presents. This is basically like a fucking portal device. He's got a wormhole in a sack. It's basically what Santa has.
A wormhole in a sack. I like it. I'll allow it. I think we need to do a scientific theory on how plausible that could be.
I do like, because the girl, like, she tells her dad, she's like, we watched Home Alone last night. And she's like, first time she'd seen Home Alone. So, like, as soon as she escapes from, like, the terrorists and Santa's like, go find somewhere to hide, she's, like, hides up in the attic. And she's like, I'm going to set up Home Alone type traps. And her traps are, like, it's like, I've seen, like, these things about, like, how damaging would the Home Alone, like, traps actually be. But, yeah, hers is, like, legit fucking people up. They come in, they see, like, the glue with, like, nails and shit everywhere, and like, really? This ain't shit. And then it's like, he goes to, like, step over the nails and climb up the ladder, and she's, like, cut slices out of the ladder so the ladder collapses and he lands, like, ass first on the nails.
I don't know, that one nail, like, through the mouth.
Oh, like, yeah, that one, I was like, oh, that looks like it suck. And fucking, like, homegirl just, like, steps on him and gets up the ladder. And then she's got, like, a thing, like, dropping freaking bowling balls. Dude finally gets his ass off the nail, and, like, fucking bowling ball falls up, knocks him out again, and he fucking lands on the nails again. It's like, yeah, her like, Christmas traps are, like, legit, like, fucking killing people and shit.
I mean, I kind of feel like a lot of the Home Alone traps would have been deadly, too.
Yeah, it's just nice to see them actually, be deadly. It's like, even the kids getting in on the action. She's like, Santa, we're gonna kick some ass. He's like, hey, don't say that. You'll get on the naughty list. What about butt? Butt's kind of borderline. How about anus? All right, technically anus is a medical. Yes, you can say kick anus. Oh.
But I also like too how they portrayed the naughty and the nice list, where it's just kind of holds up the scroll and it's like aim it at the person, their name appears, and
And he like just pulls it up and it's like all the terrorists. It's like naughty, and it tells you like all the offenses that got him naughty. And he's like, all these people are on my naughty list. And what do we do to people on the naughty list? We kick anus. Oh, and I like the other, like the family. Like I said, like mom's like this greedy kind of political lobbyist, and then her like, her son, he's douchebag adjacent. He's trying to like get out of the family, but Trudy and her mom's normal. But then you got his sister who's like all about sucking up to mom to get the money, and she's got this wannabe actor boyfriend or husband who's they call him Jean-Claude Van Dumbass or something like that. He's like some wannabe action guy, and he's the first one to like just fucking take off and leave them all there. Just pusses out. It's
of course.
Dude, if they didn't have guns, I could totally kill like 3 or 4 of these guys. And the second he gets a chance, he like just fucking runs. And they got the son who's like the douchebag TikToker. Yeah, it's your boy, Lightman, or whatever the fuck his name was. It's like, I was like, oh, these are all the people I hate. I kind of want these terrorists to kill these people.
Hey, they do it for the gram.
Yeah. I'm like, all right, yeah, like Trudy, save her, Santa, but the rest of these assholes, you can go ahead and let the terrorists have them. They're kind of D-bags.
I think it was kind of designed that way. Like,
I was like, who do I cheer for? Because I kind of don't like any of these people. Oh. Yeah, because the big reveal is they do break into the vault, and it's fucking empty because son had already stolen the money. He's like, that's the one way to get out of the family is just to take all mom's money because she's already stolen it from the government. She can't, like, report it. And this will set us up but even the mom's like, all right, I kind of respect it. Like, that's like the rest of the family's kind of, fucking worthless, but you at least had the balls to steal from me, so I kind of respect your
yeah.
your decision here.
There was an attempt.
It may get us all killed, but like you showed initiative. I kind of got to respect that shit. Oh, and then you get the Die Hard 2 reveal because, of course this lady has a private security team. She's like, my son or something was kidnapped and my father or my brother was kidnapped. My father didn't pay the ransom. Like we have, and no one ever found those guys because, we have our own private security group called the Kill Team. And he's like, oh yeah, I know your Kill Team. We got 30 minutes before they get here. And I know what your Kill Team, like I've seen their dicks. And he's like, I know everything about your Kill Team. Well, the Kill Team shows up and it's just like fucking Die Hard 2 where the army rescue team that's supposed to show up to take on the terrorists turn out to be bought off by the terrorists. And it's like, oh shit, now I'm not dealing with 6 guys. I'm dealing with a team of like hardened Green Berets or Special Forces guys. It's like shit's gotten a whole lot more difficult for old Santa Claus. And he's like holed up in the barn and he's talking to the girl, and it's almost like when McClane got his feet all cut up and he was like in the bathroom talking to Al, and he's like, I don't think I'm going to make it. Like once this is over, like if you find my wife, by then you'll know how, like, tell her she was right, and I love her, yada. He's kind of telling the kid like, sorry, I don't think I'm going to be able to do this. And she's like, no, like you're fucking Santa Claus. Like you've granted all our wishes. Make a wish for yourself. And he's just like, well, if I got one wish, I just wish to see my wife one last time. And his wedding ring falls off and starts rolling across the floor. So he's chasing it, and it rolls right up to a sledgehammer. And he's like, ooh, Head Skull Crusher 2.0. And goes like full, and she's like, all right, Santa, kick anus. And he goes full Viking warrior on these like Special Forces guys and just starts fucking dudes up with that with that sledgehammer.
Oh yeah, dude. Like,
I mean, he goes full Nikolai the Red. I was like, holy shit! Like, this is like the most badass like action sequence I've seen in a while.
Yeah, I mean, just the choreography and the fight sequences and like that was kind of the weird thing. Like the build up to the action was a little bit slow rolling.
Yeah, he was kind of like, he was successful in his fights, but he was kind of taking a lot of damage. He was kind of struggling with it. And then he finally, like, just fully embraced, like, no, I am Nikolai, and just starts fucking trashing dudes. He's like, oh, shit, this is, Santa has had enough.
I have found my Christmas spirit.
And it's called a sledgehammer.
Just love the fact that, Trudy's just like, Skull Crusher.
Oh. Yeah, the son finally, breaks down and tells them, like, because they finally capture the girl. And he's like, all right, the money's hidden underneath the nativity scene. I was going to sneak it out in the morning. So the surviving terrorists, like, go to get the money, and they're like, all right, kill the family. But of course, Santa shows up and takes care of everybody. And I like that he's like, I'm an old Viking. Like, I've been like delivering Christmas presents for like 1,500 years. Does anybody know how to work one of these rifle things?
Yeah.
And Trudy's mom's like, I used to go hunting with my dad. I think I can do it. And he's like, all right, cool. Give me some cover. And she starts like sniping dudes as he's like, and then you got the cool fucking snowmobile chase scene like in Die Hard 2. But then like the whole family gets on like, in on the act of, fucking up terrorists.
Yeah, like at that point, like, like, God, they kind of redeem themselves, in some regards.
Oh. Yeah, but I mean, it's that, but yeah, I mean, backing it up, some of the, like I said, the dude in the freaking snowblowers, just like fucking just spraying blood out the top.
Well, so I think for me, one of the memorable highlights is where Santa's got the terrorist and does a little tap of the nose, and Santa shrinks to go through the chimney. The terrorist does not, so there's just that, dismembered, like, corpse. Like,
yeah, that's like the final fight with him and John Leguizamo, where they end up in like a abandoned cabin and shit, and he's got like actual boots with the made for walking on ice because he just got off the snow. So Santa's like slipping and falling, and Leguizamo's like kicking his ass there for a minute and like fucking him up. And he finally like there's an out like you see these all these time where like an old house is burned down. There's nothing left but the old like brick chimney, and they're fighting there in front of a chimney. And he's like, "Oh yeah, this is the chimney." He's like, "I've still got the Christmas spirit, bro," and like grabs him and just gets his nose and like just sucks him through and just fucking just shreds him, just like and like he's like just covered in blood. I was like, that's fucking awesome. They even like earlier in the movie, like when they capture him for a minute, and it's like Leguizamo and two of his henchmen, and he's like, because they've all been going by names. He's like, "All right, like Gary or whatever his fucking name is, like you were bad because of this, and this." And he's like, "How does he know your name?" He's like, "I don't know." He's like, fucking some security guard or something. Like, what if he's the real Santa Claus? And he's like, "Oh yeah, I also know your name and your name and your fucking just starts telling him all this shit. And they're like, "This is bullshit." Like and it, like you start pulling all. If they legs on, it's not the real Santa Claus. He like burns the bag, and then he ends up shooting up the chimney and getting away. And they're like, "Where the fuck did he go?" And he's like, "He climbed the chimney." He's like, "Dude, he was. There's no way he fit up that chimney. I think he's the real Santa Claus." He says, "Not the real Santa Claus. Shut the fuck up." But like the Germans are like, "Nah, I think that's the real Santa Claus."
That dude just did some shit that nobody can explain. Might just be Santa.
Or he's a magician they hired for the party. This guy just did some David Blaine shit.
It's all smoke and mirrors.
What if there are like actual like real wizards out there in the world and they just like pretend to be cheap sideshow magicians? Like we're so used to like acting magical that like we see like real magic and we're like, "Dude, how do you do that trick? That's pretty cool." Is it like smoke and mirrors? It's like, no, it's like the dark arts. Like you bought it from the Hollywood store, or like no, like this is real magic.
The dark arts, that book.
I've read the Necronomicon. Not those dark arts.
You can't say that name.
It's like Beetlejuice. You say it 3 times. Ash Williams shows up and shoots the deadite. I gotta say, I like David Harbour as an actor. He's like everything he shows up in. I'm like, dude is.
I'm always pleasantly surprised.
Yeah.
Like he pulls off every role just well.
I mean, even it wasn't. I still like the original Hellboy, but even his Hellboy movie was not bad. I mean, it had some issues. I don't think it made a whole lot of money, so I doubt he'll get a second one. But like there's not been anything I've seen him in where he's not like pulled it off. I gotta give me one of those that's his problem. I was like, man, I need one of those like Hopper Hawaiian shirts for DragonCon next year. But by the time DragonCon, I'm gonna be too skinny to be Hopper now. Be skinny Hopper. I won't have the dad bod anymore. I'm gonna have to like hit the gym hard and bulk up to like pull that shit off.
Nah, just get some pillows, dude. Tape some pillows to yourself. It'll be fine.
I'll have to dress up as skinny Kevin Smith now. He's lost a bunch of weight. I can get me a Silent Bob coat and be vegan Bob. Oh, but yeah. And then like fucking the head of the Kill Squad guys like shows up after he's like shredded Leguizamo and like dumps a mag into him before Grandma shows up and finishes him off. But it's then apparently Santa Claus is Tinkerbell. Remember the old like Peter Pan, like, "All right kids, everyone say you believe in Peter Pan or believe in fairies and Tinkerbell will come back to life." It's like he's like, "I'm sorry, I saved all y'all, and then but I'm dead." And the kid's like, "I believe in Santa Claus," and the parents like, "I believe in you, Santa Claus." And then even like the douchebag TikTok kid is like, "Yo, I kind of believe in him too." And even like hard ass grandma's like, "All right, fuck it, I believe in Santa Claus too." And it like everyone gets the Christmas spirit back, and he comes back to life.
I love the fact too that he never is like, I don't know how this Christmas spirit thing works. It just happens.
Yeah, that's the greatest. I'm like, how do you do that? And he's like, Christmas magic. I'm like, dude, I don't know how it works either. I was given these powers by, whomever, like 1600 years. It just works. I think. I like that because so many movies would try to like fucking explain shit where he's just like, dude, Christmas magic. I don't know how it works. It's like, you're fucking Santa Claus. You should like probably know that shit.
Is that dark art or is that Christmas magic? What? But yeah.
I do that to the kids all the time. They're like, how'd you do that? Like, ninja magic. I don't know how it works. It just...
I put my mind to a thing and a thing occurred.
Break out some gingerbread and some whiskey. Once I'm able to drink again, I'm going to try that dip in cookies and whiskey. I've not tried Santa's method, but I can't knock it till you tried it. Get full of some Christmas cheer. Speaking of which, they did that. Demo Ranch has been doing the 25 days of Christmas. So it's like every day of December up to Christmas, it's a new gun that he's not used with a Christmas-themed target. So the first day, it was an MP5 shooting VHS copies of Die Hard to see how many copies of Die Hard a bullet could go through. But one day, he's like, we can't say beer on YouTube, so we're shooting Christmas cheer. And he had like 3 fold-out tables this size full of beer and was like shooting Christmas cheer.
What is that? Alcohol and guns? Is that probably...
It's fine as long as you're not drinking it. You can use alcohol as a target. You're just not supposed to consume the alcohol and and shoot it at the same time.
Makes sense.
I like the reindeer shit. Finally, when he first lands on the house, he ends up stepping in reindeer shit. He's like, "All right, which one of you fuckers left this?" And he's like, "Was it you, Blitzen?" Like, they're all the reindeers like,
Rudolph would have never did this.
Yeah. Oh, fuck you guys. But then they show back up like after everyone's dead, and he's like, where the fuck did you pussies go? You'll just leave me here to deal with this shit? And fucking Rudolph wouldn't have left me. And then he like looks in the sleigh like, what? You went all the way to North Pole and got my spare bag? And he's like, and Skull Crusher? And like, there's like a note from Mrs. Claus. Thought you might need this. He's like, damn it, I can't stay mad at you guys. Oh.
Skull Crusher. Oh, damn! They needed Metalocalypse in this movie.
Brutal.
You get your axe, check. Body bag, check.
I mean, I've been wanting like a fucking James Reese hatchet. I kind of want a Warhammer now. Santa fucking up people with a sledgehammer gave me ideas. I'm like, I need a sledgehammer in my weapons collection.
I mean,
I need a Viking Warhammer.
I mean, you got enough hair, you could tie it back. You could be a Viking warrior. I don't know if they were bald Vikings or not.
That's why they wear those helmets with the horns, man. It covers it up. You get you one of those furry helmets and... In fact, having too much hair, you wouldn't be able to get to like the fucking helmet on. So there were some options for having short-haired Vikings, probably.
Okay. Just got to get a sweet Viking beard.
Get some Norse runes tattoos. It's like the guys that get the Japanese tattoos. I don't know what any of this shit says, but it looks badass.
Why am I glowing? I don't know. Christmas magic.
Don't know how it works.
Be like, Joe, I can never help you with a podcast again. I am now Santa Claus.
It's like the Tim Allen thing. It's like every year you suddenly get fat and your beard turns gray. We have to take December off.
Wait a second. I feel like that occurs multiple times throughout the year. I don't know. Like, so something this movie left the desire is, one, we never see a North Pole. Two, we never get to meet Rudolph. Like,
but I like he admits that he's like, fucking Rudolph wouldn't leave me. But then again, Rudolph is like, he's like that, he's kind of like, he's the kicker. He's not on the field the whole time. You just bring him out when you need him. It's like, all right, weather's clear this year. You get this year off, Rudolph. The other Rangers like, fuck, we got to work this every goddamn Christmas. As long as it's not foggy, Rudolph, fucking gets the day off. And what if it gets foggy like halfway through the night? It's like, Rudolph, hey, Rudolph, meet us over Norway. It's starting to get a little foggy out here. Why not just keep him around all the time, just in case?
I mean, I always kind of felt like he was the leader of the pack, Shout out for the underdog.
Oh, speaking of Christmas thing, fucking, I think it was during the Kill Team fight when Santa gets the fucking ice skates and puts them on his hands like fucking boxing gloves and just starts slicing motherfuckers up with the ice skates. I was like, oh damn, that's I do like a good improvised weapon. Just fucking slicing dudes up with that thing.
Kind of felt like this whole film, for the most part, was an improvised weapon. Like, Trudy with her little Home Alone-esque traps, but, Santa just having to adapt to every situation and use whatever, like, just fucking taking the Christmas ornaments and, smashing them over people. Like, it's gonna take a lot of ornaments.
And fucking frying people with it. And I do like whoever did the fight choreography for this. It's like Santa wasn't like a ninja. Like, he wasn't like doing like badass martial arts. He's like more of a brutal style, like brawler. Like, he's got that Viking background. So they're like, they didn't like, try to like make him into Jackie Chan and give him like, badass like ninja moves. He's like, no, he's like just a fucking straight up like beast. Like, fucking has like a very savage fighting style. Which, being a former big guy myself, sometimes brute force makes up for a lot of bad technique.
Yeah, absolutely.
I like fighting very technical people because it's like sometimes it's like, nah, I can just power through that shit. I'm gonna take a hit and then like headbutt you in the face.
With my face.
It's like Mike Tyson says, everyone has a plan until you get punched in the face.
Or you lose an ear.
That is also distracting. Oh, a bit is it. I was like, I remember there was like some fucking parody song. It was called. It was like a bit is it, a bit is it. And I feel like this movie, like I said, it was surprising to us, but I didn't really see a whole lot of like ads for this movie leading up. Like, I think it was like maybe a couple weeks out that we started seeing like the ads and shit. Like other movies, we know about that shit for like a fucking year in advance, where this was just like, hey guys, got a Christmas movie. I'm like, oh yeah, when's this oh fuck, it's coming out next week. It's like,
yeah, I don't know that it received a whole lot of marketing, but then too, like watching the trailer, like
I kind of expected it to be like a Netflix movie, because Netflix do that a lot of times where they're just like, hey, this is coming out in like 2 weeks, especially if it's like not like maybe the second season of something, where it's like, hey, surprise, like here's a trailer for something that's coming out in like 2 or 3 weeks. Where this being a theatrical movie, it was like, oh, this is coming into the theaters. This is like, surprising that we heard nothing about this until, especially when like, David Harbour's pretty famous at this point. And it's just like, hey, surprise, we got a Santa Claus movie coming out, and he's gonna kick the shit out of people.
Yeah, I don't know. I wonder if maybe this was originally designed to be a made for Netflix or something, and like the production value took it to the next level, and it's like, no, this is better than Netflix worthy.
Yeah, apparently it had its premiere at New York Comic Con in October. I mean, it's a Universal Pictures film, so yeah, I guess this was, but it's also like some action. action movies and horror movies are usually kind of cheap to make. It's not like a Marvel movie that has like a fuck ton of effects where it's $100 million. I mean, this is a $20 million film, but they, kind of usually make their money back unless they're horrible. But even then, when they go to video, usually cheap horror, cheap action finds a home eventually and makes their money back. And this is kind of like, it's, if they wanted to sequelize it, you could do a different family, a different, they could, have Santa, fighting a different terrorist, next year. It's kind of a, you don't have to like continue this storyline. It's like you can just put Santa McClane in, kind of any situation and see what fuckery happens.
I was thinking a film called Unholy Night, and it's Jesus fucking people up.
Jesus fighting like Satanists or something shit.
No, fighting Santa, because it's like, Santa, you are the reason for this commercialization. This holiday is about me. I'm taking it back.
Oh no, we go from action movie to like full horror movie, and we get Santa versus Krampus next time. If Santa's real, maybe there's like a legit Krampus out there that Santa has to.
Yeah, dude, he was in Little 5 Points the other weekend.
Yeah,
Rachel's got pictures with him.
I think I know that guy actually. One of my Netherworld buddies was posting a picture of his like Krampus is out and about.
I don't know. I have seen like more haunts doing.
Yeah,
like,
I think
Christmas themed haunts like.
I don't think
Contagion.
Netherworld's doing it this year. They're doing or I think they just did it like a lights on tour where you come through with the lights on. But I know Folklore's doing a Christmas haunt. Containment was doing like a 1 weekend, 2 weekend Christmas version of the haunt. Which, I mean, Netherworld's done that in the past, but they haven't. I didn't see them doing it this year. But yeah, it's like the Christmas themed like haunted house is like, ooh, I get a second Halloween. Yeah, let's do this.
I think it'd be kind of cool to see the Netherworld lights on thing, like maybe.
Yeah, because I haven't gotten to walk through the new house because I retired when they moved to Stone Mountain, so I've not been able to see that one with all the lights on, so you can kind of see. It's kind of cool if you're a fan of like the art of making a haunted house, just to see how all the things look when you're not, getting chased by people or it's like dark as shit. It's kind of like interesting to see how that stuff looks with the lights on and whatnot. So if your stomach's settled enough, are you gonna try the cigar any? Hashtag pooping.
No, I think it's gonna be hashtag vomiting. Like my stomach just feels like it's just churning. Like it's just not happy.
You're gonna make that eggnog.
It might look like eggnog.
Oh, just when that fucking poor bartender just gets fucking slimed. I laughed out loud in the theaters. That was the first thing I was like, and that was there were so many like this like sequences in this movie where people were like cheering and laughing out loud.
The comedy was good. The storyline was good. Like this film delivered on a level that I just was not at all kind of expecting. Like I said, the build up to everything is a little bit slow, but the characters that you're supposed to care about, you genuinely care about them,
Yeah.
And it wasn't just, I mean, it's the family's coming of age and, the coming of age of Claus and, realizing that he does have a purpose and
renewing his not only, giving the kid and family Christmas, but like renewing his own Christmas spirit. And rarely do I recommend like seeing a movie in the theaters where I'm like, yeah, you can just wait till that shit comes out on video. This one, I think the movie's better seeing it with other people. I mean, just the experience of seeing it in the theater and other people like laughing their balls off and cheering when terrorists get, fucking fried. It's like, oh, this communal experience of seeing a movie is kind of sorely missed.
Yeah, I mean, the audience engagement was awesome. Like, there's not too many movies, most of the time it's, you don't hear anything but the rustling of,
Popcorn and hand
rappers
jobs
and other stuff. Like, but, yeah, I was pleasantly surprised, and this will be one that I will have to put on my yearly must watch.
This and Die Hard will be my new Christmas tradition. Because right now I always watch Die Hard Christmas Eve and time it so Hans Gruber drops at midnight. It's like that's how you signal in the Christmas. It's officially Christmas when Hans Gruber falls off of Nakatomi Towers. And now maybe it'll have to be it's officially Christmas when John Leguizamo gets sucked up the chimney.
Just the effects were awesome. It was almost Tarantino-esque at times.
Yeah, I mean, just bloody violence, and then like a touching kind of family moment. It's just like, oh man, this just takes you from one end of the spectrum to the other. So as we're getting down to the last 5 minutes here, you got any highlights? Or here's one. I've seen some. Who do you think would, if we get a sequel, who do you think should play Mrs. Claus? Because Mrs. Claus sending him the Warhammer, like, hey, you may need this. Because Mrs. Claus, I think, is going to end up being a bad bitch.
Could we do a Margaret Robbie? Maybe.
Margot Robbie. She's like fucking Harley Quinn, but Christmassy. Oh,
Not sure, man.
That would.
Or how about the lady that plays Black Widow?
Oh, Scarlett Johansson. I don't know. It's like, because Mrs. Claus, kind of should be a little bit older. What about what's her name from Terminator? Sarah Connor as Mrs. Claus.
I could see that, or
we just go full like Stranger Things, and we have what's her name? It's Mrs. Claus. Fucking Winona Ryder.
Trudy gets replaced by Millie Bobby Brown. like we just do a complete like Stranger Things.
Oh, speaking of which, dude, I just watched those Enola Holmes movies. I kind of ran out of shit to watch the other night, and I remember seeing like an ad for it. I'm like, I like Sherlock Holmes. Those two movies were actually pretty fucking good. I was surprised. There's another one that's kind of action-packed mystery, but also family-friendly if you want to watch it with the kids. Well, this is the part of the show where I normally ask you final thoughts on this here cigar, but since you're about to puke yourself, I guess I'll just have to give mine, and I like it. Like this, it's got some strength, but yeah, it's that kind of that chocolatey, the espresso coffee.
Bold as, advertised being all Maduro.
Yeah, because with Drew Estates, it's hit or miss for me. Some of their shit's a little stays in the medium range. It's a little bit, even their darker stuff tends to be a little bit lighter than what I normally smoke. But this being kind of designed by Metallica and Black, and that's what the M81 stands for, is because that's the year Metallica was founded. And I smoke a lot of Maduro cigars, but normally you don't see Maduro as a filler and a binder. Like there's not like, and this being all Maduro, it's the coffee and the is stronger, but then also the strength. It's strong yet a little bit not sweet, but that kind of dark chocolatey coffee ness to it, which I like. It's my only downside is I typically smoke a 660, and these only come in like smaller ring gauges. Like, so the biggest one you can get, or the biggest one I found, is like a Churchill, like 7x52. So it seems a little smaller. But I mean, we bought the small one because we just smoked a strong cigar, and like I said, my stomach's still kind of, building back up its resistance. So even the smaller one has lasted, at least an hour, and I still got another 2 inches of cigar. So it's a good slow burn. So even those smaller ring gauge cigars, you're gonna get a full cigar
Smoking
experience out of it.
It's not
And
like you're over in 10 minutes.
And it's not like stupid expensive. I mean, the Churchills are like around $12. I think this smaller one was like 11. So it's a little bit stronger than that kind of $10 everyday smoke. I mean, more expensive, but it's not $15-$20 stick. So you can yet, and it's brand new. So it might as it gets more popular, might go up in price. But I'm down. Like, I'd smoke a cigar with that filled and talk about some Metallica and maybe even drink some of that blackened whiskey when I can drink again.
On that note, give them fuel, give them fire, give them double shot desire.
Another cigar.
Yeah.
And we'll be right back. And you've been watching the Cigar Nerds podcast. Check us out on cigarnerdpodcast.com. We're on the ESO Network at esonetwork.com. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, at Cigar Nerd Pod. Remember, smoke 'em as you got 'em. Like, comment, and subscribe.